The legislature is under court order known as the McCleary decision to complete its task of ending the over-reliance of local levies to fund basic education. There are two new proposals, one from Senate Republicans, the other from House Democrats. So let's talk about each, starting with the Senate Republican proposal.
Both of these proposals are really very complicated, and as we go through this negotiation process, they're really going to change. But the good thing about the Republican viewpoint on this and the proposal that's coming out of the Senate is that it sets a flat tax rate across the state of $1.80 per thousand for households. And it changes the way the taxing occurs within our state, largely just by replacing the way we currently levy our money and setting it to a per pupil funding rate of $12,500 per pupil. So this is something that I actually approve of. It gives some flexibility to the local school districts for when it comes down to low-income kids, special need kids, and it actually puts some stipends in place for those for certain conditions for kids. So, and it gives some flexibility there to actually boost that rate up in certain circumstances. So I think it's definitely a good starting point. There are pros and cons to this plan. So, but as we go through, it's going to get pulled apart, put back together about a bazillion different times before we actually come to the compromise plan.
Tell us about the plan from the House Democrats.
So the House Democrats' plan is drastically different. They are adjusting some local levies and lowering some of the local levies and backfilling it with some state money. The biggest problem that I have with the Democrats' plan is the fact that it relies on a significant level of tax increases and new taxes, as high as $6 billion. And what we don't see in their plan is the revenue to pay for the policies that they're putting forward, and that's very problematic. If they're not willing to push their bill off the floor with the spending that's required to cover their policies, then there's a real problem with that.
As the debates continue, one issue you've been concerned about is unfunded mandates to our schools. Can you talk about those concerns?
Oh yeah, I'd be happy to. This is something that I've really preached about ever since I've been elected. So for the past 4 years, I've tried very hard to vote no on unfunded mandates that come across through the Education Committee as parts of bills. Every single year we pass bills out of the House and out of the Senate that get signed by the governor that demand the local school districts to implement these policies, but we don't give them the resources to pay for those policies. And in the end, the schools end up having to depend on their local levies. It's these unfunded mandates that have brought us into more and more dependence on our local levies, and we absolutely need to stop that practice. If we're going to pass a policy that costs money at the local level, we need to fund that policy.
What is the status of these education funding bills?
So the status right now is that now the Senate has passed their education bill out of the Senate. They did that just a couple days ago, and it's now coming over here to the House to be considered. The House bill will go over to the Senate, and the negotiations begin from there. The Senate bill came over on party line 25-24 vote, and that shows you how much of a partisan issue this has become. And frankly, I suspect that the House bill will do the same out of the House.
What should viewers of this program do about this legislation?
Well, I sure hope that you at home stay involved with the process. Keep yourself educated about what the real issues are. This is a very complicated matter, the education funding, and it's not going to be solved overnight. But you can express your viewpoints and express what points are most important to you by emailing me, by contacting me through my website. The website's listed on the screen here, or telephoning my office or the legislative hotline. But your communication at home and communicating back to us is really very important to us. Because there are different matters within this education funding plan that are specific to different communities. So what's important to Oak Harbor, what's important to Stanwood, that's really very important to me.